On the driver's side of the van, we have our diesel and AdBlue filler points, followed by a storage locker, which contains jacking equipment, leisure battery and spare fuses should they be needed for the electric bed. This is followed by the electric step, which allows you into the habitation door, and just to the right of all this is a gas barbecue point. You'd need to supply your own barbecue, but you can plug it in there. This is then followed by the external equipment locker, which in our case contains levelling ramps, 25-metre cable and a 10-metre long water filler hose, and just dustpan and brush for tidying up. Around to the back of the van we just see fridge vents, space for a bike rack and the reversing camera. And then over to the toilet cassette. So this is on the driver's side of the van. The toilet sits above this cassette, and when you open a lever underneath the toilet, your waste will drain straight into the tank. When you close the lever up, then you can withdraw the tank, and this can be carried to the chemical toilet disposal point for emptying. And the way you empty it is if you twist this spout, all the waste will then come out of this spout. There are other instructions on here, so if you press this button whilst emptying it, it will allow a bit of air into the tank and stop it splashing. So you've emptied it, you've rinsed it by pouring water back inside here. We carry some toilet chemical on board, which is usually down a little container just down the side of there, some sachets. Drop a sachet inside with about a glass of water or thereabouts just to dissolve it, and then you can push the whole thing back inside and it's ready for return. Next one along will be your gas locker, in which we can get two 6-kilo propane cylinders. Always turn them off on top of the cylinder when you're not using it, and especially when you're travelling. Next to that lives the fresh water filler, and the way this works, just undo it with the key and slide it up. You can then put the hose pipe in, and then you would fill the van until you hear water running underneath when it reaches its overflow. There is a tap below, however the purpose of that is to drain the entire fresh water tank, so please don't play with that one. There's a boiler vent just next to that one, so you know where it is. And down there, the grey tap, that would actually drain your grey water. So all your grey water on the van would drain into a holding tank, and when you twist that tap open, it would then drain to ground. We don't recommend that you drain it while you're driving along, but most campsites will tell you where you can dispose of that water. Up above that, and just behind the driver's door, is a flap containing the 240-volt socket. So if you're not hooked up to mains, you will not be able to use the mains powered sockets on board the van. If you are able to, just lift the lid on the end of the cable and plug the whole thing in here, and then you've got 240 in the van, which will charge your batteries and run your fridge, and can also be used for the heating. Coming inside the cab area, we can see fairly normal sort of controls, cruise control and audio controls on here. Usual sort of display. Lovely visibility from this vehicle. Air conditioning, and then you have this multimedia unit with CarPlay, navigation, DAB and the like. This also features your reversing camera, so if you pop it into reverse like so, you can see what's going on behind, and then when you switch it back into drive, it'll go back to what it was doing. Two swivel seats in the front, actuated by a small lever down underneath here, which will turn them to face the inside. Going inside the vehicle, there is an electric step, which is actuated either by a small switch inside the door there, or if you press the bottom button on the remote, it'll extend it out like so. A bin in the door, means for locking the van. Just push that in for the central locking, and in we go. So first thing we see, it's lovely open plan space in here. We have the two opposing sofas, and for habitation purposes you swivel the two front seats, and as we look up through here, we've got some cupboards attached to the electric bed, which comes down on the tracks below and can be lowered either to the halfway point and use a ladder, and someone could sleep underneath. These two areas pull through into a bed also, or you could drop it all the way down. Over the cab got this lovely panoramic window, and in this cupboard we keep a manual winder just in case there's any problem with the electric bed, which can be activated by this winder socket here, just up underneath. All of the windows on the van have blinds and mozzie nets if you pull it down a second time. Curtains on your side windows also, and we have a TV point up here along with a 12-volt socket. So looking back in the van, we can see the kitchen on the right, fridge right in front of us, wardrobe on the left, and the washroom also. Wardrobe's got loads of space in it. Like so. And then working our way back, we have our washroom. The lever down here for the toilet opens the toilet cassette below, and you can swivel the bowl to whichever position is needed. There's our toilet flush, little medicine cabinet and a mirror, and then we have our shower unit with its own door as a separate shower room. Then we have the kitchen. The kitchen contains an oven and a grill, a 3-burner hob, sink, storage for the table inside here, loads of storage for all your knickknacks. Most of our inventory items are in here. And then up the top, again, more inventory, like so. Up here we'll find our solar charger, where we can select either the leisure battery or the engine battery. It's a 240-volt socket in this area. Fire blanket. And then we have the fridge. So we have a large fridge in this van. It has a small freezer compartment in the top. And loads of storage for your groceries. Now this is an automatic fridge, so when you wake it up, we can see on here at the moment it's running on automatic, and because we're not hooked up to mains, it'll run on gas. When you're running on the vehicle battery, it'll light up the battery status, so it'll run while you're driving, and then it'll also run on mains power if you don't have any gas or you're not driving. So basically it can be left alone. If the display isn't blinking at you, then it's working. If it is blinking, it's trying to attract your attention to say that it hasn't, for example, got any gas, or the mains hookup isn't working. There's your fridge. In this particular van, for safety purposes, everything in the rear will turn off when you drive. So the first thing you're going to have to do when you come into the back of the van is wake it up using the power button here. On this control panel you also have overcab lights, the pump. This pumps water to the sink and the toilet, just here running there. That will only make a sound when it's pressurizing or pumping water to a tap. This one covers the outside light. This one will tell us our various levels, and this moves between functions on the panel. However, you should not need to use that very much. At the moment, the display is indicating that we've got no fresh water on this particular van and our wastewater is empty. Obviously, when we supply a vehicle to you, the fresh will probably be full and the wastewater empty. Over to the right, we have the controls for the electric bed. Pressing this button up or down will move the bed, as you can just hear, and back up again. Up above this are the controls for the heating and the hot water, which are independent. Heating here and hot water here. If you wave your hand in front of them, it'll wake the panel up. For example, the heating can be run on gas or electricity. So assuming you're hooked up to mains electricity, what you do with heating, you set the desired temperature, it is thermostatic, and then when you press this button here, it will change from blue
to orange. When it changes to orange, then the heating is running. Just lit there. The 2 dots here represent how much electricity is going to this particular function. So if you press and hold it, it will allow more electricity. Okay. However, there's only a finite amount of electricity you can go to both. So you might find if you turn the hot water on now, you're only allowed 2 there and 1 here, or 2 there and 1 here. So you'll need to work out what's best. Normally recommend running on 2. And that will start your heating up. To turn your heating off, you press this one here until it goes back to blue. And similarly, once it's reached its desired temperature, it will change to blue while it's not operating and then kick back in as and when necessary. So I can change my temperature down to little nighttime heating here, or just frost protection, or I can fire it up on gas on here. If for any reason you get a little red exclamation mark up here, that means something's gone wrong, and it would need to be reset by pressing this reset button here several times in the middle until it goes away. But you would probably have to make sure that you rectify the problem, like make sure that you've got enough gas before starting it back up again. The water controls are pretty much the same, gas or electricity. At the moment you can see it's set to a frost setting. The next setting would be 40 degrees, which would be the leaf. This tells us the current temperature of the water, and then if you wanted 60 degrees you could put it up to there, and then gradually this will build up until it reaches that point, whereupon it will be maintained thermostatically. Again, turn it on and off here. There we go.